there is a lot of application and also things we do that apply the theory of mass transfer. For an example is diffusion. For an instance, we have a cup of tea and you put your tea bag inside your cup of tea. And how does the molecule of tea diffuse into the molecules of water? And you can have a cup of tea. Diffusion is the movements of particles like ions, atoms or molecules from a higher concentration region into a lower concentration region. Now, an example of diffusion process is the dilution process of iodine in water. We can assume or we can example this by showing the dilution process of iodine in water. The iodine, we can assume that it is highly concentrated, whereas this is water, which is we can make dilution process. Now, I will show you that when we place a drop of iodine into water, it will disperse into water molecules, and this we can explain that the movement of iodine molecules into the water molecule is from the higher concentration into a lower concentration, that clearly explain about the concentration gradient. Now, let me see. Project, there is two demonstrations that will be explained. The first one is the diffusion of iodine molecules into the starch solution using plastic bag membranes, and the second one is the comparison between dairy milk powder and also liquid condensed milk into water. So let's have a look.
First of all, I'm gonna explain what was the equipment and material that we will use for run this experiment. Okay guys, the material or equipment that we will use is number 1 is starch soluble. Number 2 is a packet of iodine solution. Number 4, distilled water, and the last one, the equipment that we will use is glass rod and a dropper. First step, pour 10 times of spatulas of starch soluble into 1000 ml beaker and make sure all safety aspect needs to be followed before run the experiment. After that, pour the distilled water into the beaker until it reaches 500 milliliter. For the next step, properly stir the starch solution by using glass rod to ensure the solution was completely dissolved. For the last step, place the iodine bag with full the iodine solution inside the beaker that containing starch solution within 15 minutes.
Let me explain the important roles in this demonstration. Iodine indicates the presence of starch. Specifically, iodine turns cornstarch from its original color to purple. A plastic bag is called semi-permeable, which means its characteristic that has many microscopic openings that allow small amount of air or water to enter and leave. Larger things cannot pass get through these openings. Look how I gasping for the air. See, that is how the respiration process takes place in our daily life. So, the oxygen in and the carbon dioxide out. So, I will relate the respiration process to the daily life. So, this is the iodine molecules, and this is the starch solution in a plastic bag. So, from the higher concentration, the iodine molecules will propagate into the plastic bag. The iodine molecules is small enough to squeeze out the gaps, so it can enter the starch solution and will turn the starch solution into the dark blue color from a cloudy. You can imagine this as your oxygen, this is your alveolus, and this is your blood vessel or blood stream. So, if you open up your lung, you will see that the oxygen will propagating into the alveolus and then through the blood vessels or bloodstream. The air that has higher concentration of oxygen will absorb into the bloodstream compared to exhalation, that the CO2 rich air will be exhaled.
Hi, me again. In daily life, we make a lot of drink that use milk as one of our ingredient. So, which type of milk do we prefer the most? Usually, we see the restaurant use condensed milk that is in liquid form and not the dairy powder milk. Why? Guys, let's see this conversation first.
Bang, kenapa guna susu ni baca air ni tak boleh semua?
Sebab susu ni dia masih muda. Susah larut itu, yang ini cepat larut. Kakak sikit je dia nak larut.
Okey. Terima kasih.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good evening to all my fellow friends. Sharing my name is Ariff. So, this evening I will demonstrate about the mass transfer application in our daily life. So in this demonstration, I will use powder dairy milk and liquid dairy milk to compare the mass transfer diffusion. Okay, let's examine and compare. Firstly, I have prepared a beaker. Okay, you see this is beaker A and this is beaker B. So then we put liquid dairy milk into beaker A and powder dairy milk into beaker B. So, right, in this beaker, so put dairy milk, right, and powder. Okay, we must wait for 2 minutes to compare the rate of mass transfer in this beaker A and beaker B. beaker has a good diffusion. The beaker which dilute with the liquid dairy milk has completely dilute with water, right? And for the beaker B that I pour with the powder dairy milk, the powder dairy milk has not completely dilute with the water because the state or the phase of the powder dairy milk is heterogeneous, so it takes time to increase the rate of diffusion or the rate of mass transfer with this beaker B. We could add more heat or increase the temperature and stir with the stirrer.